What's going on, YouTube modeling community? Pappy here at West Georgia Rides and Customs. Jason, my old buddy over there at Blue Ox Model Shop, he had a question this weekend about how do you determine if if a build is good enough to, sit on a table at one of the shows or what? And how do you satisfy, yourself and telling yourself that model or that particular build is good enough, period, and or whether it's just good enough just to sit on your shelf. Well, great question. One of the things, a lot of people that when they're, whether a lot of people are just like, we didn't know that there was a such thing as a model show. And, fair enough. That's usually the ones that are, they're just now either getting into the hobby or they're getting back into the hobby after, years and years away from it. I know that I myself, I was one of those, and it took a couple of years for me to decide on is this particular build good enough to sit on a table at a show, and I had to have a lot of friends, and I wrote down a good little list right here of just topics I want to hit on right now. But when I first got back into the building models again, I just wanted to satisfy my own needs as far as having something that was worthy of sitting on the shelf, something I could be very proud of if somebody was to come and go, oh wow, did you build that? Yeah, I did. The other thing was, and I did when I first got back into modeling. I remember I built a '69 Camaro. I took pictures of it with my phone. I carried it to work one day, and I was showing it to one of my coworkers, and he was like, "Wow, man, how long did it take you to build that car?" He thought it was a real car, and I was just like, "My job's done now. I just tricked you into thinking that that was a real car because I took some pictures of it out, out in the outdoors and everything. So the lighting was good. The paint wasn't perfect on it, but I did fool him into thinking that that car was a real car. Did I ever show that car? Nope, never took it to a show. That was before I even knew that there was a such thing as model contest. Well, with that being said, moving forward a couple of years later, I found out about YouTube, the YouTube modeling community. And when I met people out there, I mean, my friend list just went from this to this. And it's just been, you just don't really realize what, getting into this hobby will do for you personally. And I tell you what, it's just, you know, really has blown me out of the water as far as the things that that I have done just because of these little plastic things right here. And I love building them. I always have, ever since I was a kid. But starting off, the first suggestion I would have right here, and I've got kind of a bullet point down through here I'm going to hit on. I build for me, I build for my own collection, period. And when if it's worthy for me to sit on I look up above me and I've got, oh goodness, I probably got over 100 cars in my own collection in here, and some that I have shown, some that I have never shown. I've never even took them to a model show. I've never really even put them on social media or on YouTube or anything. So, starting out, I build for me and it's for my own collection. But when I started jumping into going to model contest, I went to a model contest and I did not put anything in the show that time. And the first model contest that I ever went to was the Acme Southern Nationals. I don't remember. I've got bukus of lanyards up here from the Acme Southern Nationals, but I forget what year exactly I started going to that show. But the first show I went to was the Acme Southern Nationals. I went there I went there to buy some stuff. That was when I found out that there's all kind of detail parts out there that you can buy, and take that model from this level to the higher level. And I started going to show. I went to that show that year, and just the first person, and many of you know this gentleman, which was Chip Reimer, and he was better known as Chevy Cheeseburger. I went to Chip when he owned Extreme Scale Detail, and I was buying some parts from him, and I showed him, and I had already talked with him on the phone and things like that. But when I found out he was going to be at the Acme Southern Nationals, I walked up to him and I introduced myself, and I bought some products that he had on for sale, and I showed him some of my builds that I had here in my collection. So with that being said, he was just like, "Wow, you got a YouTube channel?" And I was like, No, I'm not good enough to do a YouTube channel." He said, "I beg to differ with you." And he said, do you have any builds on the table today?" I was like, "Nah." The first show I ever went to was the show that they used to host up in Cleveland, Tennessee, and it was called the Ocoee Whitewater Classic, and that was the first show I ever went to, and I was hook, line, and sinker from then on out. I don't even remember what I took up there, to be honest. Did I win? No, but I tell you what I did. I did win a lot of confidence in myself, of being confident enough to set one of my builds on the table, flaws and all. And I mean, you got to have thick skin when you put yourself out on a contest table. Yeah, you're putting yourself out there for criticism, good comments and bad. Same thing with YouTube. So from then on out, when I started going to contests, I mean, I carry builds that have very little detail, maybe a box stock build, or I've got some that's just full blown detail. I mean, wired plumb, whole 9 yards. So when you get to that level right there, and you think, well, is this build good enough? Your paint better be flawless. Your paint, your details. But then again, too, you got to have thick skin, but you got to be able to take criticism as well. And when I have people, or I have, some of my peers come up to me at shows, and they ask me what I think about their build, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you where your gray areas are at, because I want you to improve. I want everyone to improve on their building. And, as far as whether you want to go to shows, whether you want it to be in your own collection, or whether if you want to be a commission builder. I did not know for years that you could make money building model cars for commission. There's people out there that want them. There's some people out there that want them to build so they can take them to shows. That's part of the contractual agreement that they agreed to me with, is that they'll never put that car in a model show claiming it's their own. If it is, I'm going to get you. But, when you do a commission build, again, your paint, but same thing goes with a commission build that does with a contest car that you want to put into a show. So, but then again, too, when you do a commission build, it's pretty much how much detail your customer wants. I mean, you can go out, you can do a box stock build and they'll be satisfied with it, or you can go a full all blown detail for the customer. Just like I always tell the customer, how much detail do you want? Because that's going to really be what mandates the price of that build. So, but starting out with with people that are getting into first time the hobby, or getting back into it yourself, from a hiatus that you may have taken. Start satisfying your own goals. Start setting your goals. When I first started, back into modeling, I wanted to learn paint. I did not know crap about paint, just other than it's a rattle can. I'd heard about airbrushes. I'd never really dabbled with them, but learn how to paint. Learn the rattle can. Master it first before you delve off into trying to learn airbrush techniques. And because trust me, you don't learn it overnight at all. Learn clean assembly. That's another thing. Learn how to have glue joints that nobody can see. Learn clean assembly. Get all your mold lines, things off like that, and learn sanding techniques and things like that. But I always have this one bit of advice that I give anyone is to make that next build better than the last. That is the best thing. And whether you take it to a show, if you want to go to a show like like we host in the Acme Southern Nationals, also try to go to an IPMS show, and that is a judged show where where judges will look at your build and tell you where your flaws are at. That's where I say you got to have thick skin, because you better learn, you better know how to take criticism, because sometimes some people will sugarcoat it for you and just go, "Nah, it's a good looking build." Nah, not really. So, but learn clean assembly, make each build better than the last. Then after, once you achieve that, just keep making those little goals. Learn how to, modify and kit bash and just make things out of plastic that's not even out there. We were talking at our club meeting yesterday, at our Acme club meeting. We were talking about 3D printing, about how much that's going to carry everything. I mean, above that next level right now with what kits. I mean, there's kits out there. My good friend Matthew at MCV Products, he is printing up some of the best parts I have ever seen, and he's printing up kits now. He's got some awesome looking 3D printed pulling tractors that he's got available at MCV Products. So, that's one thing right there that we were talking about it, at the club meeting was, this makes it, puts that, when you put that build on the table, people are looking at, wow, man, where did you get that at? And that's where you have to kind of sit back and start. That's where people, when they start asking, that's when you know that somebody's interested in your work, and makes you feel so much more satisfied in your work. So that's but I mean I've, like I said earlier, I have builds that were never been taken to shows. I've had builds that have never been on YouTube or social media here in my collection above my head right here. So, but why they're not shown? It's because they have flaws in them. And I'm not gonna put it out there. It's not that I don't want nobody to criticize my build, but it's just I know that it's not table worthy, and it's just I'm perfectly happy with it in my collection. So, but if there's a flaw in one that you don't want to put in a show, and you don't want to put it on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or anything like that, learn from your mistakes. Own up to them. I mean, I've got paint jobs that just look like Fidos, and I wouldn't put them in a show for love nor money, but they're perfectly fine above my head. And it's kind of like that old saying. It's a 40-foot. It's a 40-foot paint job. Looks great from 40 feet, but you get closer to it, it looks like you put it on with a paint roller. So, but learn from your mistakes. Once you've accomplished all these areas, make goals like what I did. Going to contests. Once I started going to contests, you're not going to win all the time. Some of the goals that I put on myself was, I wanted to win a top 10, especially I wanted to win a top 10 at Acme. And in 2019, I was able to satisfy that goal. I won top 10 at the 2019 Southern Nationals with a lifted Blazer that I built. So, but set yourself a goal to win, a first place, second place, top 10, best paint, best engine, best interior, best overall of show. Set yourself, your standards, as high as you want them. And another thing, I never thought I would ever grace any of the pages of a magazine ever, and I have been blessed to have a lot of my builds put in some of the top magazines. Scale Auto Enthusiast, which is no longer around anymore, Auto Modeler Magazine, which is one of the newer, and Model Car Magazine. So there's been 3 publications right there. I've had several put into the Fine Scale Magazine top 500. So, set yourself, goals like that as far as, winning the top 10 is the best of, get them in magazines. Also, go out there on a limb. Make yourself a YouTube channel. Put yourself out there on social media. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Go out there, and I tell you, you'll have a multitude of people that will become your friends, and you'll get together at model shows also. So, also give somebody one of your builds. I just recently did that for a coworker of mine that I work with. He wanted to know how much I would charge to build a truck, his first truck that he ever had, and I never would tell him a price. And then at Christmas, I brought it in, give it to him, and that really just made me really feel great. He was very happy with it, and I said earlier, I didn't even know you could build model cars for money, and there's people out there that will would ask you to do that. So, join a club. Like I am a member of ACME, which is the Atlanta Car Model Enthusiast. So, find you a local club. Go to your hobby shops. So if you got some mom and pops, hobby shops around, go out there and see what kind of clubs are out there. You can look up and find you a local hobby shop or local club by just Googling it, your area and stuff. Do a Google search of the IPMS, which is the International Plastic Modelers Society, and there's clubs everywhere. So, join your model club. That really help. I know we have a active, trying to get people into the Acme Club. So, and we have members as far over as we got some in Florida, we got some in Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina. We got them in Georgia. So, it's not really, just not far the local Atlanta area, but find you a club out there that'll help get your model to that show level. And if you satisfied with it sitting on your own shelf, so be it. But all in all, guys, ladies, please have fun with the hobby. I tell you what, when I got out of it, when I got hit by the fumes, which was the car fumes and the perfumes, and quit modeling, and then life, takes over. And then I got back into it, probably about 15 years ago. I started back into modeling, and I have had a blast. I've made all kind of friends, going to shows. There we go. We talk about shows again. You can have so much fun at the shows and the swap meets and the model clubs and things like that. If you got grandchildren, nieces, nephews, what have you, get them involved in this. Let's pass the love for this hobby along to the next generation that's coming up. I hate it. I hate to say it, but I hate seeing these kids that's just walking around. They seem like they don't have no life. But then again too, we sit and we play with plastic cars and trucks, but we have a life, but it's being creative with a piece of plastic is a heck of a lot better than just kid just killing his time with this right here. So, but anyhow, Jason, great question about that. I know I got a little long-winded on that. I'm looking at my my time meter right here, but I'm going on about 19 minutes of rambling. But Jason, great question. Just make your next model. I guess that's probably how I'm going to close this out. But make your next model, better than the last. That's all I can tell you. And if you feel comfortable about putting on on this into social media or on setting it on a model table, do so. Have fun. It's always a great time when we go to model shows. Anyhow, I'm going to leave y'all with this. I'm fixing to get a little bit more bench time before it's time to hit the rack. And as I always say, if you can dream it, build it. God bless y'all. Pappy out of here.